The morning sun filtered through the sheer curtains of a quiet hotel room overlooking the glittering skyline of Tokyo, casting a warm golden glow across the floor where 2 coffee cups sat untouched. Zhang Ling stood by the expansive glass window, watching the bustling metropolis wake up beneath a clear blue sky while running a hand through his slightly messy morning hair. Just a few feet away, Tian Ziwei stirred under the plush white duvet, her soft laughter breaking the serene silence as she stretched her arms and blinked away sleep. It felt surreal to be thousands of miles away from the chaos of domestic paparazzi, chaotic schedules, and the relentless noise of the entertainment industry. Only a week had passed since the internet exploded with speculative headlines and unverified wedding rumors that had sent their respective fandoms into an absolute frenzy. Now, far away from the flashing cameras of Beijing and Shanghai, they were simply 2 people trying to catch their breath and process the whirlwind of their changing lives. The journey that led them to this peaceful sanctuary in Japan was anything but straightforward, born out of months' intense public scrutiny and unrelenting speculation. Ever since they finished filming their hit historical drama together, every single micro-expression, shared glance, and promotional event appearance had been scrutinized under a massive magnifying glass. Tabloids had churned out daily gossip, claiming everything from secret family meetings to sudden contractual disagreements, keeping both actors permanently on edge. Yet, beneath the manufactured drama of the entertainment blogs lay a genuine connection that had steadily deepened away from the public eye. They had weathered the storms of malicious rumors, conflicting fanbases, and exhausting work hours, discovering an unexpected solace in each other's company. When the wedding rumors first surfaced online, neither of them had expected the sheer scale of the public reaction or the way it would force them to confront the reality of their feelings. Instead of letting the panic consume them, they chose to take a bold step forward, stepping off the grid entirely to reclaim their narrative in a quiet foreign city. Tokyo had always been a city of anonymity for international travelers, a place where individuality could blend seamlessly into the vibrant yet respectful rhythm of local life. Arriving at Haneda Airport late at night under heavy disguises, they had slipped through the terminal like ghosts, acutely aware of the risks involved in traveling together. A sleek black rental car had whisked them away to a discreet luxury hotel nestled in a quieter district, far removed from the neon-lit frenzy of Shibuya or Shinjuku. The moment they stepped inside their private suite, the heavy weight of public expectations seemed to lift off their shoulders, allowing them to finally let their guards down. Ling had immediately poured 2 glasses of iced water, handing one to Ziwei with a reassuring smile that instantly melted away her lingering travel fatigue. They spent their first night unpacking lightly, ordering room service, and talking for hours about everything and nothing, relishing the simple luxury of uninterrupted privacy. It was the first time in over a year that they could exist without worrying about trending hashtags, leaked airport photos, or corporate PR guidelines. The next morning greeted them with crisp autumn air and a city painted in brilliant shades of amber and gold, urging them to step outside and explore. Donning matching oversized black hoodies, baseball caps, and subtle face masks, they ventured out into the charming labyrinth of Nakameguro's tree-lined canal pathways. The streets were pleasantly quiet at this early hour, save for the occasional local cyclist or a shopkeeper sweeping the pavement outside a boutique cafe. Ziwei walked closely beside Ling, her hands tucked deeply into her pockets, occasionally pointing out quirky architectural details or adorable stray cats lounging near doorways. Every now and then, a passing pedestrian would glance their way, but caught up in the peaceful morning atmosphere, nobody paid them a second glance. It was liberating to walk side by side without constantly looking over their shoulders or calculating the distance between their footsteps for fear of being photographed. Ling bought 2 steaming cups of matcha lattes from a tiny artisan shop, handing one to Ziwei with a gentle touch of his fingers that sent a warm flutter through her chest. They spent the afternoon wandering through the historic lanes of Asakusa, soaking in the traditional sights and sounds that contrasted sharply with Tokyo's ultra-modern skyscrapers. Traditional paper lanterns swayed gently in the breeze above them as they navigated the crowded market stalls selling handmade trinkets and local delicacies. Ziwei couldn't resist stopping at a traditional sweet shop, her eyes lighting up like a child's as she inspected a display of freshly made dango coated in sweet glaze. Ling chuckled softly at her enthusiasm, willingly playing the role of the patient companion as she debated which flavor to try first. He captured a candid photo of her holding the snack with a triumphant grin, her bright eyes crinkling at the corners beneath the brim of her cap. It was these ordinary, unscripted moments that anchored them, reminding them why they had risked so much just to share this escape together. Far away from the suffocating pressure of being public figures, they were just a young couple enjoying a simple date in a foreign city. As evening descended, the city transformed into a mesmerizing wonderland of neon lights, glowing signage, and bustling nightlife that painted the asphalt in vibrant hues. They secured a corner table at a tiny, hidden ramen bar tucked away down a narrow alleyway, where the chef served steaming bowls of rich, flavorful broth. Seated close together in the intimate booth, their shoulders brushed with almost every movement, creating an electric current of awareness between them. They spoke in hushed tones over the hum of the kitchen, discussing their childhoods, their dreams, and the quiet fears they rarely revealed to anyone else. Ziwei confessed how overwhelming the sudden wave of marriage headlines had been for her parents, who were constantly bombarded by reporters knocking on their doors back home. Ling reached across the small wooden table, placing his warm hand over hers to offer a steady anchor of reassurance amidst the chaotic memories. His gaze was fierce yet tender, conveying a silent promise that he would shield her from whatever storms awaited them upon their return. After dinner, they took a long, meandering walk toward the Sumida River, where the iconic Tokyo Ski Tower pierced the dark night sky like a glowing beacon of light. The cool river breeze whipped through their hair, carrying the distant sounds of city traffic and the soft laughter of evening strollers along the promenade. Ziwei wrapped her arms around herself instinctively against the sudden chill, shivering slightly as a stronger gust of wind swept across the water. Without a second thought, Ling slipped off his heavy denim jacket and draped it gently over her shoulders, enveloping her in his lingering warmth. She pulled the fabric tightly around herself, breathing in the faint trace of his signature cologne mixed with the fresh outdoor air, her heart swelling with profound affection. She looked up at him, her eyes reflecting the glittering city lights, and whispered a quiet thank you that was almost swallowed by the wind. Ling smiled softly, sliding his hand into hers and intertwining their fingers as they continued their silent walk along the moonlit path. The rumors that had brought them to this precipice were entirely unfounded in timeline, yet remarkably accurate in capturing the depth of their underlying commitment to one another. While internet sleuths frantically argued over whether a wedding ceremony had already taken place in Nanjing or somewhere else, the truth was far more intimate and sacred. There had been no grand banquet with hundreds of industry guests, nor had there been an official registry signing captured by tabloid photographers. Instead, their version of a commitment had taken place during a quiet evening weeks prior, sealed with quiet promises whispered in a dimly lit room rather than a public spectacle. They knew that acknowledging any of the internet chatter prematurely would only invite a tidal wave of corporate interference and media chaos that neither career was ready to handle. Yet, standing together under the Tokyo night sky, the concept of a future together no longer felt like a distant, terrifying fantasy. It felt inevitable, natural, and completely right, despite the massive hurdles standing between their personal happiness and public obligations. The following days bled together in a beautiful blur of spontaneous adventures, quiet domesticity, and deep emotional bonding that further solidified their partnership. They rented bicycles and explored the sprawling paths of Yoyogi Park, laughing uncontrollably as they tried to navigate the winding trails amidst falling autumn leaves. Ziwei proved remarkably competitive during an impromptu race across a grassy clearing, leaving Ling behind with a triumphant cheer that echoed through the trees. Later, they sat on a wooden bench sharing a box of convenience store pastries, watching crows swoop gracefully across the pale afternoon sky. In these quiet interstices of time, the heavy armor they both wore as famous actors completely melted away, revealing the vulnerable, authentic human beings underneath. They talked about the fragility of fame and how easily the entertainment industry could distort reality, vowing to always protect the sanctuary they were building together. It was a profound realization that despite the glittering illusions of their profession, what they shared was the only thing that truly mattered. Midway through their trip, they decided to escape the urban sprawl entirely, taking a scenic bullet train toward the mountainous Hakone region for a traditional hot spring retreat. The rapid transition from concrete jungles to serene mountain forests felt like stepping into another dimension of peace and tranquility. They checked into a traditional ryokan featuring a private outdoor hot spring bath surrounded by moss-covered rocks and vibrant Japanese maples. Changing into comfortable cotton yukatas provided by the inn, they stepped out into the crisp outdoor air to immerse themselves in the steaming, mineral-rich water. The contrast between the freezing mountain breeze and the soothing heat of the bath instantly relaxed every tight muscle in their bodies. Ling leaned back against the stone edge, closing his eyes with a contented sigh as Ziwei splashed water playfully in his direction. Under the canopy of a star-studded night sky, away from every prying eye and whispering voice, they found a profound sense of absolute freedom. Sitting across from each other in the steaming water, the conversation naturally drifted toward the inevitable day they would have to return to reality. The vacation could not last forever, and the looming shadow of unreplied messages, pending scripts, and relentless media inquiries waited for them across the sea. Ziwei's expression grew slightly melancholic as she traced circles in the water with her fingertips, wondering aloud how long they could keep protecting their private world. Ling reached through the mist, capturing her hand and bringing it to his lips to press a soft, lingering kiss against her knuckles. He assured her that no matter what headlines awaited them or how aggressive the paparazzi became, they would face the upcoming storm united as a team. His words carried an unshakable weight of conviction that washed away her remaining anxieties, replacing fear with a renewed sense of courage. They spent the rest of the evening making quiet plans for a future where hiding would no longer be necessary, daring to dream of open days and shared homes. Back in Tokyo for their final 2 days, they adopted a more relaxed pace, focusing on soaking up the sensory details of the city they had grown to love. They spent hours browsing through quirky vintage bookstores in Jimbocho, carefully selecting art books and old photography collections to bring back as quiet mementos. Ling surprised Ziwei with a delicate silver pendant shaped like a star, slipping it gently around her neck during a quiet dinner at a rooftop restaurant. She reciprocated by gifting him a handcrafted leather notebook, telling him it was for all the future scripts he would conquer and the stories they had yet to write. They toasted their glasses of plum wine against the backdrop of Tokyo Tower, celebrating not just a vacation, but the quiet birth of their shared destiny. Every glance exchanged across the candlelit table spoke volumes of unsaid promises, sealing an unspoken vow that transcended any formal wedding announcement. They were partners in every sense of the word, bound by resilience forged in the fires of public scrutiny and shared affection. On the morning of their departure, the hotel room was eerily quiet as they packed their oversized suitcases, folding away the memories of the past week into neat compartments. The carefree anonymity of Tokyo was coming to an end, and the reality of airport security, media traps, and demanding work schedules loomed ominously ahead. Yet, as they rode the express train back toward Haneda Airport, neither of them showed any signs of the panic that had characterized their arrival. Seated side by side in the sleek carriage, their shoulders pressed together comfortably while Linghei's hand rested securely over Ziwei's on the seat cushion. They watched the suburban Japanese houses blur past the window into a continuous stream of green and gray, lost in their own thoughts yet entirely synchronized. When the train finally pulled into the terminal, they adjusted their face masks and pulled down the brims of their caps with practiced efficiency. The armor was going back on, but the spirit beneath it was entirely unbreakable, fortified by the unforgettable days they had just shared. Checking in for their flight back to China, they moved through the terminal with a quiet, composed grace that betrayed none of the internal transformation they had undergone. They knew that the moment they landed, the internet would still be buzzing with wild theories, demanding interviews, and intrusive paparazzi waiting at the arrival gate. Tabloids would likely dissect every grainy photo captured at baggage claim, trying to decipher whether their relationship status had shifted during their absence. But as they settled into their business class seats and the massive aircraft began its steady taxi down the runway, none of that external noise mattered anymore. Ziwei leaned her head comfortably against Linghei's shoulder, closing her eyes as the plane lifted off the tarmac and soared into the vast expanse of clouds. Ling wrapped his arms securely around her, gazing out the window as the glittering lights of Tokyo faded into the vast, beautiful distance below them. They were heading back to the spotlight, back to the cameras, and back to the demanding world of entertainment, but they were returning together, ready for whatever lay ahead.